If you are listening to this right now, I want you to look at your hands and realize that they hold the key to a door you might have thought was locked forever. Stay with me until the very end, because today we are not just talking about survival. We are talking about the moment you decide that your soul is no longer for sale. Imagine a house where the floorboards don't just creak, they hold their breath. You walk on eggshells so thin they've become part of your skin. This is the reality for millions. A silent war fought in kitchens and bedrooms, behind closed curtains and forced smiles. We often ask, from the safe distance of the outside looking in, why do they stay? Why does a woman endure a husband who diminishes her light until she is a ghost in her own hallway? Is it because he provides the roof over her head, or because he is the father of the children sleeping down the hall? The truth is a tangled web of fear, necessity, and a systemic lack of options that we must unravel today. This fear is not a loud, sudden thing. It is a low-frequency hum that vibrates in your bones. It is the fear of a mood shift, the fear of the wrong tone of voice, the fear of a silence that feels like a coiled snake. When you live in this state, your nervous system is never at rest. You are constantly scanning for threats, interpreting the slam of a car door or the way a glass is placed on a table as a weather report for the storm ahead. This constant vigilance erodes your sense of self until you become nothing more than a radar for someone else's chaos. You lose the ability to know what you feel, because your only priority is knowing what they feel. This is the first death in an abusive home, the death of your own internal compass. And then there is the pain, the kind that doesn't always leave a mark on the skin, but leaves deep fissures in the soul. It is the pain of realizing that the person who promised to be your sanctuary has become your captor. It is the pain of the small betrayals, the mockery in front of friends, the subtle gaslighting that makes you question your own memory, the cold shoulder that lasts for days without explanation. This pain breeds a profound insecurity. You begin to wonder if you are indeed as difficult, as crazy, or as worthless as they say. The abuser plants these seeds of doubt precisely so you will feel too weak to ever plant your feet and walk away. They make you believe that the world outside is even harsher than the one they have created for you. Consider the story of Elena. For 12 years, Elena believed that her bruises were the price of her children's stability. Her husband was a respected man in the community, a provider who ensured the bills were paid and the fridge was full. To the world, they were the perfect portrait. But inside, the air was heavy with the threat of his temper. Elena stayed because she had no bank account of her own. She stayed because every time she thought of leaving, she looked at her 4-year-old son and wondered how she would buy his milk or pay for his shoes. This is the trap of financial dependence. It is a leash made of gold or copper, but it is a leash nonetheless. When a woman does not have the means to support herself, her choice to stay is not a choice at all. It is a hostage situation sanctioned by a paycheck. We must look deeper into the psychology of the provider-abuser. There is a specific kind of cruelty in the hand that feeds you also being the hand that strikes you. It creates a cognitive dissonance that breaks the human spirit. This is where trust dies a slow, agonizing death. Trust is the foundation of any bridge between two people, but in an abusive home, that bridge is sabotaged daily. You learn that vulnerability is a liability. You learn that sharing a dream or a fear only gives them more ammunition to use against you later. When trust is broken this fundamentally, the world itself begins to feel like a hostile place. You stop looking for allies and start looking for exits that aren't there. Elena would tell herself, well, he worked 60 hours this week to give us this life, so I should be more understanding of his stress. But stress is not a license for trauma. When we tie our survival to our abuser, we begin to negotiate with our own dignity. We start to believe that a roof is worth more than our peace of mind. But what good is a roof if the house inside is burning? This negotiation is often conducted in total, imposed silence. The abuser demands that the private stays private, which is just another way of saying they want to keep their crimes hidden from the light. You are taught that telling the truth is a betrayal of the family, a mark of shame, or a reason for further punishment. This silence becomes a heavy cloak that smothers your ability to cry out for help. It makes you an accomplice in your own destruction. Now let us expand our view to the children. Many women stay because they believe a two-parent household, even a fractured one, is better than a broken one. They say, "I don't want my children to grow up without a father." But we must ask ourselves, what kind of father are they growing up with? Are they learning that love is synonymous with control? Are they watching their mother disappear? And in doing so, learning that their own future partners should either be victims or victimizers? Leaving is not breaking a family, it is saving the individuals within it. It is an act of profound motherhood to show a child that abuse is never an acceptable price for stability. A child would rather have a mother who is free and happy in a small apartment than a mother who is broken in a mansion. We must speak loudly about the importance of financial independence. It is not just about having money, it is about having the power to say no. It is about knowing that if the person who is supposed to love you turns into the person who terrifies you, you can walk out that door and keep walking. Financial literacy is a survival skill. It is the bridge between submission and sovereignty. We need to encourage every woman, every person, to have their own freedom fund. A small account, a side hustle, a skill that the world is willing to pay for. Money is not just currency. In the context of abuse, money is oxygen. If you can pay for your own room, you can never truly be locked in someone else's. Consider another story, the story of Sarah. Sarah was a brilliant student who gave up her career to support her husband's ambitions. For a decade, she managed the home, the social calendar, and his ego. When the verbal abuse started, she felt she had no exit. Her resume was a decade old. She had no recent references. She felt like a relic. The abuser knows this. They thrive on your obsolescence. They want you to feel that without them, you are a ghost with no place to haunt. But Sarah started small. She took online courses in secret. She saved $5 here and $10 there from the grocery budget. She rebuilt her value in her own eyes before she ever presented it to the world. When she finally left, she didn't just leave a man. She stepped back into her own skin. She realized that her brain hadn't died. It was just in hibernation. And what of the fathers? The men who are supposed to be protectors but become the primary source of pain. There is a heavy, cultural weight that tells us we must honor our parents regardless of the scars they leave. We are told that blood is thicker than water, but we are rarely told that blood can also be toxic. We need to normalize the act of leaving the parental home. We need to make it okay to say, "You may have given me life, but you do not have the right to destroy it." Following your own path away from an abusive parent is a lonely road at first. It carries a heavy cost: the loss of a family structure, the judgment of relatives, the internal guilt that has been groomed into you since childhood. But the freedom you find on the other side, the relief of a night's sleep where you don't jump at the sound of a key in the lock, that is worth every penny and every tear. Think of Marcus, who grew up under the shadow of a father whose words were like acid. Marcus was told he was nothing until he started to believe it. The day Marcus turned 18, he didn't have a plan, but he had a pair of walking shoes and a backpack. He worked 3 jobs, slept on floors, and felt the crushing weight of loneliness. He saw his friends going to college while he was scrubbing toilets. He felt the sting of abandonment every time he saw a father and son laughing in a park. Yet 2 years later, sitting in a tiny, quiet apartment he paid for himself, he realized he hadn't heard a scream in 700 days. His heart had finally stopped racing. That silence is the sound of healing. He learned that being fatherless was actually better than being father-oppressed. He traded the security of a home for the dignity of a life. The cost of freedom includes the loss of your history. You may have to leave behind the photos, the heirlooms, and the people who knew you when you were small. You will lose the safety of the familiar, even if the familiar was a nightmare. But what you gain is the right to write your own name. You gain a morning where the first thought in your head belongs to you, not to someone else's mood. We must learn to be alone. Society fears the solitary woman or the man who has cut ties with his kin, labeling them as broken or difficult. But there is a sacred strength in being alone rather than being diminished. Cutting ties is not an act of cruelty, it is an act of self-preservation. It is setting a boundary that says, "My peace is non-negotiable." We must stop viewing staying for the family as a virtue when that family is a source of destruction. Loneliness is a season, But abuse is a life sentence if you don't commute it yourself. Report the abusers. Valorize your own safety. If you are in a situation where you feel your life is at risk, or your spirit is being eroded day by day, know that there are resources, but the greatest resource is your own resolve. Value the life that is pulsing through your veins right now. You are not a punching bag, nor are you a secondary character in someone else's drama. Your life is not a forfeit. It is a gift that you are currently allowing someone else to tarnish. This journey is a great pain, a deep internal ache that feels like it might never end. The scars of abuse are not just on the skin, they are etched into the nervous system. You might find yourself jumping at loud noises or apologizing for things that aren't your fault years after you've left. This is the body remembering the war. But the body can also learn peace. It takes time, therapy, and a radical commitment to yourself. Healing means admitting that what happened was wrong, even if the person who did it was someone you were supposed to love. I want to turn the microphone to you now. If you are listening, tell us your story in the space below. Have you experienced this kind of darkness? What was the catalyst that finally made you move? Was it a look in your child's eyes? Was it a moment of clarity in the mirror? What were the consequences, the hard parts and the beautiful parts? And most importantly, are you healed, or are you still stitching yourself back together? Sharing your truth isn't just for you. It's a lighthouse for the person still trapped in the storm, wondering if there's any land left to find. We need to talk about the insecurity that comes when you first leave, the fear that you won't make it. And we need to talk about the moment that fear disappears. The normalization of leaving is the next great social revolution. We must stop asking, why did she stay? And start asking, how can we make it easier for her to go? We need to build communities where a woman leaving an abusive husband is met with job offers and childcare, not questions and pity. We need to create a world where a young man leaving a violent father is seen as a hero of his own life, not a wayward son. Breaking the silence is the first step in breaking the cycle. When we speak, the walls of the prison start to crumble. Financial independence is the armor, self-love is the sword, and the truth is, the light that guides you out. Do not let the abuser ruin your life. They have already taken your past. Do not give them your future. Learn the skills, save the money, find the allies, and when the time is right, walk away with your head held high. You will be alone for a while. Yes, but in that solitude you will meet someone you haven't seen in a very long time, yourself. You will find that you are much stronger, much smarter, and much more resilient than the voices in that house ever allowed you to believe. Healing is not a destination, it is the daily practice of choosing yourself. It is the realization that the ruins of your old life are actually the foundation for a fortress where you are the only one who holds the keys. You are worthy of a love that doesn't hurt. You are worthy of a home that feels like a sanctuary, not a cage. The cost of freedom is high, but the cost of staying is your very soul. And your soul is far too precious to be used as a carpet for someone else's ego. As we conclude this reflection, remember that every morning you wake up in safety is a victory. Every dollar you earn for yourself is a brick in your wall of protection. Every time you speak your truth, you are breaking a chain that was meant to keep you silent. You are the author of the chapters yet to come. And the ink you use is made of the courage you found when you thought you had none left. Walk forward and do not look back, for the person you were back there is safe now because of the person you have become today. The path ahead is long, and there will be nights when you feel the phantom weight of the leash. But look at your hands again. They are free. They can build a new world. They can hold a cup of coffee in a quiet kitchen. They can hold the hand of someone who truly respects you. And most importantly, they can hold you up when you feel like falling. You have survived the storm. Now, it is time to learn how to live in the light. May your path be clear. May your pockets be full of your own hard-earned dreams, and may your heart finally know the profound, beautiful quiet of being truly free. You are a miracle of survival, and the world is waiting to see who you are when you are finally allowed to be yourself. If you love this story and want to hear more like it, please hit that subscribe button. It truly means the world to us and helps us grow. And hey, while you're at it, let's aim for 50 likes on this video. Help us smash that goal